patience. God give him strength and help him before his farm blows away.
Hello, welcome to a special edition of Bars to Bricks, Prison Ministries Incorporated. The cries of innocence, the muffled screams of the unjust, and the multiple names that we can come across. Today we're going to have a call from Gary here shortly. A little bit before I get ready, I've got everything ready for the call here, so we will wait on that call. Before we do, today we're going to talk to Gary a little bit about, want to hear from him, from his words, why he needs justice and what's going on in his world. We're also going to discuss some of the aspects of his case, how comfortable he feels with maybe some of the stuff we're doing and proceeding, and what his thoughts are on our upcoming trip to Nashville here in just a couple weeks. In fact, 2 weeks from today, I'm going to be getting my stuff packed and together and ready and getting ready to head to Nashville. As we go through St. Louis and pick up Mark and Nate, we may stop and say hi to Harv and Miss Judy, but on the way there, maybe I might stop to say hi to Harvey and Mindy, and then go on through, pick up Nate and Mark, and then slide on down to Nashville, where the fun begins. And hopefully we can get some justice in those days in Nashville. That would be awesome. We have the evidence to clear Gary's name. There should be no reason anyone with any kind of a conscience wouldn't just completely exonerate Gary or set him free, or at least give us a new trial. That's all we want. Give the man a new trial. He'll walk. It's just, there's no evidence to convict this man. In fact, all the evidence points against it, including, like I said, the autopsy report. Okay, Gary was convicted of shooting Tommy Griffin on February 21st of 1992, a Friday evening, almost midnight. The body was found on Monday, February 24th in the afternoon. Everything pointed to Tommy being killed on Monday, except for the prosecution's story and Dr. Harlan's testimony, who said he went off organ slides, and yet there's no records of even any organ tissue samples being taken. Furthermore, the autopsy says the date of death was Monday, February 24th, not Friday, February 21st, that Gary was convicted of killing his friend. His friend that he had never even had a crossword with. His friend, who was his best friend, was his almost like a brother. The only person that Gary allowed to have a space in his trailer besides his girlfriend. Gary didn't kill Tommy. And then Connie's body, his sister, was found 4 days later, burned to death in a car. Again, Gary was convicted of Connie's murder. And once again, Gary is innocent, and we have all the evidence to prove it. Furthermore, Gary and his uncle James Dillinger were convicted of killing Connie Branham to cover up the murder of Tommy Griffin. First of all, they hadn't been convicted in Tommy's murder, so that was an illegal defense. Then the prosecution prayed around guns and stuff like that, and then told the jury that, well, she wasn't shot. We don't know how she died, but yet they were convicted of murder. all the evidence is clearly going to show that Gary Wayne Sutton is completely and wholly 100% innocent. Not just alibis and stuff, because we have that too. We have our private investigator Heather Cohen has done some amazing work in the field and got some statements from people, the witnesses and jurors and such, that are very critical, where they were pressured, they were coerced, and there is Gary. Let's. Well, maybe here.
Hey, how you doing? Is it Kevin?
Hi, Gary. How are you doing? Yes, it is.
All right. Doing pretty good. Finally got out here and got to call you. Boy, I tell you, everything around here has been such a mess here lately. It is unreal.
Oh, yeah.
How's things been going with you?
Oh, busy.
Oh, has it?
But that's okay, though. Been able to bless some people and making some progress in your stuff.
Yellow.
Carolyn.
Yeah, Lord, here it's been. We got a whole new administration here now, from the warden to the commissioner, and it's just every time there's some D pod to just you day in and week out and month out. It's just over and over and over. I mean, you can't even get stable.
And that they tried that with well, you know, you probably remember when the whole you're probably less affected in your unit, but when they started the PREA stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then we had a warden that come in. He was a deputy warden in Kansas in El Dorado, but he had been a warden in Texas.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to disrupt everybody, move everybody around. There had to be within 10 years of an age difference per cellies, this and that. Well, my little brother was my cellie. We have about a 16-year age difference. And found in our cell without it stuff being, pilfered. And but we went to bat against that, and thankfully we won. And there was actually a 10th Circuit case. I'll have to see if I can find an applicable case in in Tennessee area, your 6th Circuit, but that would cover, because they deemed that unconstitutional, cruel and unusual punishment, because it is so disruptive, and prison in itself is so mentally destructive, and so.
Well, see, what I think's happening here, the commissioner, so we got a new warden too, and they brought this new commissioner in, and the reason they brought him here, all the stuff about where they had the protocol to all the death penalty stuff, the execution stuff messed up.
Yes,
that's
sir.
The reason they brought these guys in here. But what it is now too, so this commissioner brought in, he's one that brought from Arizona. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head. But he's one he brought from Arizona, and said he was in the federal. Somebody said for like 27 years, and in the federal they constantly move them in the federal all the time.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to do that here. And somebody said something about he's gonna like every 90 days jerk us up and make us move to another unit, another pod and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God.
Oh.
If they keep doing that and move much, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna reach down and get a hold of my TV and radio. And so if you want to move it, then take your team and let them move it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna move us like and to let them do the hauling and stuff, get TV and radio.
But what really does more damage to them and that stuff is if they don't get a reaction out of people, and like, oh, good, that irritates them, because a lot of times their end goal is to disrupt your life and make you not comfortable and stuff. And so when they see it's not being effective, it kind of kills their fun, because they're the system a lot of times is no different than a schoolhouse bully. They throw their weight around and all, and So,
well, see, they tried to shut everything down on us. Even their, now, see, I'm a big guy on Kraus, doing Kraus and stuff. Now they come in. I got you, and I don't know if Carolyn told you or not. I've got you. I sent you a project to her. She's supposed to be putting the clock motor in. I've actually forgot to ask her the last few days if she actually put actually went and found the motor to go in. It's cut out for an insert clock motor to go in it. Is something to set on your desk, but I literally had it. I had it down to the point it was ready to put the finish on it. When they came in, this new warden and them came in, and they came in my cell. When I come back up, I said, I'm looking, and I had just said and sanded and polished and sand and polished on your project, and here it's laying out in the middle of the floor out there. I had to literally go back over it and try to get the scratches and the places they made it. I had to redo everything on it before I could even put a coat of sealer on it. And I had it ready to put a coat of sealer on. But I mean, it's just, and they took a lot of my stuff, took my wedding ring, took my
Carolyn.
This is stuff that I bought. I mean, I got receipts showing up. They still took it, rolled me up over it, and they still got it now, you know. But in Arch and Krause, what they tried to do on it was say, well, look, I paint too. I do acrylic painting. And they're trying to say they didn't want us to do any painting in their sale now. They want you to do nothing. But they don't want to run 2A. I can't even get no time over there. So it's just about almost shut the crowd side of it down is what they've done.
Yeah, that's just a shame. I appreciate it. I'm honored. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I know she hadn't. I think she maybe trying to surprise me with it. You probably just ruined your surprise. But
yeah.
But
yeah, she's supposed to be getting the clock motor for it because, you know, I was going to order one, but that's another thing. They're telling us now, well, we're not sure what we're going to let you order. We're not sure who we're going to let you order it from, and they're just trying to really actually shut us down. Is what they're trying to do.
I completely understand that one. We went through that so many times, and that's a constant battle, it seems like. And I so appreciate it. I'll be in Nashville, and in fact, I was just talking about that. Here 2 weeks, I'll be packing my stuff, getting ready to head out that way. It's about a 10-hour drive for me. So
well, I sure appreciate everything you all are doing. I mean, I've been just in a steadfast for a long time. I mean, it didn't seem like. Here's the thing, Kevin. It's just so crazy. Look, anybody that knows me, you can talk to anybody that personally knows me. Look, I was a little bit of I used to go out as a country boy and get these bars and clubs, and I was like a lot of other old country boys. We'd get out there and we'd fight and raise hell in them clubs and stuff. But I was always, anybody tell you that knows me will tell you that they know I didn't do this. I was raised up, Kevin. I remember when I first got locked up at the jail, I thought, how in the world have I ended up here, locked up over this and charged with this? First of all, with Tommy, with a guy that I've never had a harsh word with. And anybody that knows me knows I have never raised a hand to a female. I was raised by my grandmother and my aunts and stuff. And this one thing I was always taught, you don't ever raise a hand to a female. And it was just something that was installed in me, and I just never done it, you know. But I'm thinking, here I'm sitting here charged with murdering a female. It didn't even make no sense, you know. And people that knows me knows that.
Well, and I allude to our first conversation when I talked to people, and when I said, we're talking about Susanna, a woman that's supposed to be representing him and basically has almost signed his death warrant. And yet he still says, if I was to talk bad to him, I'd call anything, but still didn't call her no cuss words or anything out. And man, I say worse things about that woman, and it's not even my case. But
well, you know, I told her right here one day, Reese, and she come, and I looked her right in the eye, and I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, the stuff you've done on my case, if I believed in really disrespecting women, and I just don't believe in talking to a woman like that, I said, I'd have done called you everything under the sun but a white woman. And she just stood there and just looked at me. The lawyer guy is coming. I can't think of his name. Now, he was sitting there trembling. I believe he thought I was going to jump on her. I said, look, you have not done nothing to help me. I said, I believe the whole time you let the district attorney, Al Smolcher, run the show. Because, see, she worked under him. She was a public defender over in Danridge, Jefferson City, and he was the district attorney that worked for her way back then. It's way before she ever went into federal. So she had a relationship with him way back then. And kind of know how that stuff kind of works.
Yep.
You're under this umbrella of it's a conflict of interest anyway, because the same people that's appointing these lawyers to you is the same people that you're asking them to go against these people that's appointing you the attorneys, the judges, the district attorneys, and all of them, and they're just not going to do it. I mean, you're not going to find many lawyers that does that.
Right. Well, and while we're on that subject, I want to give you some updates on your case. For one, I think you're already aware of the autopsy date is different from the date that you were convicted of killing Tommy.
Well, Carolyn was telling me a little something about that. It was different.
Yep, I found that, and then recently also found the Dr. Harlan said he tested organ tissue samples. Well, according to the autopsy report, there was never any organ tissues samples even collected. So
here's what he said. He said they looked at slides.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Of organ tissues. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, and there was no samples even taken for him to examine from Tommy's body. So, and then it gets better. You should be getting Carolyn. I just sent the stuff this morning to Carolyn. She's going to be mailing it to you. Be looking for that. It's our motions to get rid of Susanna.
Yeah.
You're going to have to give me a little bit of faith. Because you're going to have to step out pro se, which means you're representing yourself for a second.
Yeah.
But that's
whatever you need me to sign on it or do on it, just let me know.
Okay. Well,
I'm kind of lost when it comes to legal work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and there's a letter and instructions and stuff, and I gave Carolyn instructions, so she's gonna explain it to you, get it mailed off to you, and as soon as you get that signed in the 2 spots, fill that date in and get it in the mail, because this is going to get rid of Susanna.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Gary, if we can get it in the mail as soon as possible, then it's going to be being heard right around the time that we're in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so I've got a handful of attorneys. I know somebody's going to snag your case. This is open and shut. I also found another way to get you back into court, get you a new trial. Yeah. And Susanna didn't want to go this route. It's called, here's a little bit of legalese, a little Latin for you, but it's called a writ of error curam nobis. Yeah. And basically what that is saying your counsel was so deficient, and because of her egregious errors, the result would have been different had her representation and her actions been different, which we can easily prove with her not timely filing your motions for a new trial and everything like that. And Gary, if we can get you a new trial, we have you coming home.
If I could get a new trial, what are they going to say against me? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. And especially with everything that we found, that I've uncovered and Heather's uncovered since then and all that, there's no way. And we have Dennis Ferrier there in Nashville, Fox 17. He's doing a story about you. I did some interviews with him. He's going to also cover our stuff in Nashville. Me and him are going to try to take this evidence. I'm going to have everything in my hand as far as all this evidence that shows your innocence. And we're going to walk into the Capitol, and we're going to try to see the governor and get a moment of his time and get him to look at this evidence. And then we're just going to flat out ask him, do you feel comfortable letting this man be executed with all this evidence that proves his innocence? We would love to have him exonerated and home today, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, grant it a new trial, and we guarantee you we'll prove his innocence. So,
well, I mean, even the district attorney, have you ever heard a district attorney literally tell a judge, if you don't let me try him with Mr. Dillinger, I'll have to drop charges on him, turn him loose because I don't have no evidence on him. And they literally, I don't know where that's at. I mean, Brenda had it. Brenda actually went over and got it. The way she got it by going to one of the court clerks there. And it's somewhere in that transcript that Jimmy and them's got. I don't know where Carolyn's got all of it.
Well, yeah, I have access to all that stuff, so I'll have to find. I want to dig that out because that's going to be critical. I don't know, Gary. For some reason, I don't even know if we're going to go to a new trial. I feel like they're just going to end up throwing this out because if they end up with a new trial, it's going to end up worse for the state because it's going to expose so much corruption and all that. They're better off just letting you go, especially. We're starting to pick up all sorts of attention. I got 15 signatures on your petition this morning on somebody else's channel on a live. And so I
remember a lawyer told me once, Kevin, that actually was working on my appeal out of Newport out there. I'm trying to think of his name. I think his name here in a minute. Anyway, well, we talked about it and he said, something, Gary? He said, this is a weird case. He said, they're doing so much trying to cover up. He said, there's so much stuff bad that went wrong with your case. He said, I've never seen nothing like it. He said, and I told him, I tried to explain to him, I said, this is what a friend of mine told me that was a police and got a lot of family in police. He said the reason they done all of this, done it so sloppy. He said, I've never seen nothing this sloppy before where they lied, forged, fabricated, made evidence in every way you can think about. He said, then this openly out there. He said, normally it's one of them cases where, defendants saying, well, they lied on me or they done this, and there's really not clear evidence there to say that they did. But he said, yeah, in this case they are. But he said, what they're trying to do right now, they just keep trying to cover up. He said, they know if you ever raise the rug back and start looking at this, boy, it's just going to make a whole line of people look like, what in the world happened here? Well, but what they done, Kevin, they tried to force me. They were trying to force me to say, well, if your uncle did this, you better tell us, or you're going to prison for the rest of your life, or you're going to death row. And even another thing, did you see it in there where the TBI agent come in there and I never gave this man no statement. Yeah. I mean, I was just going out of my cell for about 5 minutes. Yeah. But I done had my lawyer to file a thing that nobody was to question me without him being present, but they still let this man testify against in court and tell this whole big lie that I gave him a statement saying that I was with my uncle at all times that weekend. I had a headlight out on my car, and they still used all of that.
Well, and that's a violation of Miranda versus Arizona and your Fifth Amendment rights by him even coming back. Talking to you, and that should have been raised. But I got a question for you. So in Suzanne's brief, and this is the only place I find it is in her brief. I don't find this in any other of the police reports and all that. So I really wanted to ask you. I asked your brother about it on a video we did with him, and he was just floored. So in Susanna's brief, it had where you and James and Connie had went to that bar and was asking questions about Tommy, and said the waitress had said that you had asked her if she was married, and she said yes, and said, well, what is your husband going to do when you come up missing or something like that?
That was all a made up lie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I read that, and I said, asked Jimmy, I said, you know your brother better than probably anybody. And I said, this is what said, and his eyes got big, and he said, Gary never said nothing like that. He said Gary would never.
Here's what happened. On that, Kevin. These girls at this bar, this is Hayes Hideaway Lounge. Yeah. And one thing I learned there, I hadn't been there in years much. We just started going there again. And one thing I learned by stopping there, these girls was prostitutes that was working there in the club. So the detective here's what happened. They just said anything that detective asked them to say. I never freaked it with any of them back there, but I remember I got in a fight there one night not long before this happened over a lesbian girl there, and I didn't realize at that point that they was prostitutes there till I got to talking to her about it. She said, yeah, she stays apartment building back here up on the hill behind it back here, and she said these girls in here is prostitutes. And I said, really? I said, I didn't know that they were in there working like that. But I guess I assume what this detective done, old James Winder, one that done all the forging and fabricating. Well, you can imagine all he's had to do is go in there and say, look, I know you all are prostituting here, and if you don't say this, I want you to say this, this, and this. If you don't say this, I'll come in here and shut you all down. And I imagine they just said whatever he wanted them to, but yeah, I mean, there was nothing said like that to either one of these girls. That was just a made up. I guarantee you, and that's another thing I told Carolyn about. I said, why don't somebody, I said, if you talk to Heather, if she can, try to talk to this girl. I said, I nearly bet you today, if you talk to her, she'd probably tell you the truth. That, yeah, he got me to say this or say that.
Well,
I said, if you send somebody to talk to her.
I've got Heather doing quite a bit of checking on some stuff too for us. Well, including, I'll tell you something else I found out, about Miss Suzanne. Miss Suzanne did not graduate in criminal law. She's not even listed as a criminal lawyer. She's listed as a bankruptcy and debt attorney.
Damn.
Yeah, and so
that sounds strange.
Right, and
so you mean she didn't? I still don't really quite understand. She didn't. How does she get? She's not passed like in criminal law. Is that what you mean?
Well, when you become a lawyer, you obviously you can practice any area of law, but you usually specialize in one area. Well, she specialized in bankruptcy and debt, and that explains her ineffectiveness as a federal defender. And but I've got enough in. She won't be practicing law by this time next year. She's not going to be a lawyer. Her license is going to be revoked. I've got enough to get rid of her.
Yeah. I tell you what I told her after one day, Kevin, we was out there, and I got pretty hot out there with her, and I said, you know something, I said, and I told her, I said, I don't know who y'all realized it was her and Steve Farrell, I think his name was, is helping her up there now. I said, let me ask you something. I said, do you all realize that nobody in this building wants anything to do with you all or that office up there? And I said, here's what I've done. I said, I literally went around this unit, everybody that's had anything to do that y'all have worked on their case, and I have literally asked every one of them, what has that office done for you up there? What have they got done for you on your case in court? And I said, every one of them's told me the same thing. Well, I ain't got nothing done on my case, but they picked up the package for me and dropped it off here. They called this person for me. And I said, I don't know about any of these other people here, but I don't need an errand boy. I'm trying to get somebody. I don't need nobody to drop a package off of me. I can put some stamps on it and mail that. As far as that, I said, I'm looking for somebody to try to prove my innocence on this case. And they just both just sat there and looked at me. But I said, nobody here wants anything to do with you all. Yeah. And they just sat there stone-faced and looked at me, And but I said, look, I'm just trying to tell you the truth. I ain't trying to come out here and, and paint some kind of story that, to you all. And I'm kind of one of them type of people, Kevin, that Carolyn will probably tell you. I'm pretty straightforward to people. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't try to tell people, sit around and tell people something if I don't mean it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they've just not done nothing for nobody up there. Not that I know of. I don't know of anybody they've done anything for.
No, I know. That's I've been doing a lot of research on that office, and because come time when we go to Nashville, when I do me and Heather and another individual who still remain unnamed for this moment. You know who I'm talking about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But when we do that press conference, that's when I'm really going to bring her character out and her.
Carol was telling me something about you found in there too, where there was something she was supposed to file back when I wasn't talking to her way back in the day, and she didn't even file. She just let her run out.
Yeah, there's a couple things she didn't. For your new trial, that was the because over Dr. Harlan's stuff, he granted the new trial, and she didn't file the paperwork in time to get you your new trial, and but that's what this, and she's like, there's no way to get you back into court. You're procedurally barred from everything, this and that, which is true up to a point of fighting that writ. And I had to dig for that. I just found it, and I found it's applicable in a couple different states, so it's going to be able to help a couple people with that. And that'll get you back into a new trial. And like I said, we get you a new trial, you're coming out. There's no way. I mean, because both cases are just, there's no way that you be reconvicted on, no way. There's no evidence. And
what they done, they went, and look, anybody, if they told you the truth right now, which I know, I figured, I told Carolyn, I said, I'd hate to max Tammy Griffin, Tommy's brother. I don't know where she would say anything on my behalf. And she knows, look, the whole Griffin family, trust me, if you knew the Griffin family, they know I didn't do this. If they didn't, you talking about raising hell, they would be raising more hell. You'd hear them on the internet, they know I didn't do this. But here's the problem with that is, that's like Tammy Griffin, she wrote me a letter. I don't know if Carolyn showed it to you or sent you a copy, but she wrote me a letter. It's been several years back. She knows I didn't do it. She knows the relationship that I had with her brother, and she knows me. So I actually dated her for a little while. She's a good person too, Tammy Griffin. She was kind of like Tommy. She had a big heart, a real kind person, real kind heart and stuff. But she knows I didn't do this. But the problem with her saying anything for me would be, man, she got a brother that was in jail with me up there when they had me locked up on this. It killed a guy, James Griffin. That's the guy that my uncle was having problems with. I mean, he's a beast, boy. This guy is here. He emptied a pistol on the guy. I think I told you about it. He emptied a pistol on the guy, loaded it, emptied it in him, loaded it again, emptied it in him again, and just straight up murdered him. And didn't even leave the county jail. I think he done about 11 or 11 and a half months in the county jail and went home. And just out openly, premeditated to kill this guy. I mean, usually when you shoot somebody over once, that's premeditation there. But they literally, literally reloaded this gun twice. What it was, everybody was saying at the time, well, the reason the district attorney's doing this, Al Smulcher, is because he used Connie. There's rumors there's not really rumors. I know he did. He used Connie, the sister that got killed. He used her in setting up what you call them when you go to a grand jury to get indictments for people. He used her for that. Al Smulcher, the district attorney, did.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's a dirty situation that they've got set up there that they're doing. When you go to court, they do pretty much whatever they want to do.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. And that's why the public attention makes such a big difference. And I've been pushing to get this public attention out, and we're starting to really gain traction. Does the name David Wagner sound familiar to you?
David Wagner. I know some Wagners. I've heard of some Wagners. I don't know where David.
Okay, well, the reason
seems a little familiar.
Okay, I was going to say the reason I ask, and is the other day, it was Monday, I think it was Sunday night or Monday. I had a comment on one of my videos about you, and he said that, well, he's at minimum he's guilty of accomplice to murder, and like, no, he's not. It's like, and so I wondered if it was something. Carolyn, the name didn't sound familiar to her.
I was thinking maybe a Wagner. There was a Wagner that was involved. There was a detective in Blount County.
Well, that's what she was saying, and that's Widner.
Is it Wigner? Maybe that's where I've got. It's the only place I can think of that name. I was thinking it was one of the detectives was named Wagner.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was Widner is the detective, because that's what she was thinking first. And I said, no, this is Wagner. And she wasn't familiar with who it was. But
No. There's one guy on there. They said it's giving me a hard time, and his name is David Adcock. And I run around with this guy back in the day. He was a detective, and me and him always got along good. And I can't figure out why he would turn on me. I mean, I've always been along with him real good.
I'd say, Gary, the first trip that we're going to make here in a couple of weeks, if it'd be awesome if everything just got settled in. But realistically, it's probably not. It's not going to happen that way. But we can hope. But anyway,
everything goes slow when it gets in these courts.
Oh yeah. Well, but I told Carolyn I want to plan another, maybe in November or something, go out there for a couple weeks and just talk to people and interview people and I challenged. I've challenged on the lives and stuff I've done about it. I've on videos. I tell people get a hold of me. We can have a calm discussion about it, and I challenge anybody to prove me different, that you're guilty, and no one's taking me up on it.
I mean, if you could just ever get anything back in court, like he was saying, I believe you could get something done. It's getting. I've never had nobody that would fight for me.
Well, you do now, and I not only know the law, I know the Lord, and so that.
Did Carolyn tell you anything about this? Another guy in here that ABC, they were supposed to have done it yesterday, but they put it off. It's going to be sometime next week. But ABC is supposed to be doing a thing on his case. His name is Kevin Burns. Now, he's got a lot of people behind him, too, pushing his case. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's they want to meet. He's the minister in here to the prison in here. But his case is supposed to heard it yesterday, but for whatever reason they put it off for like a week. And I just wondered if maybe we could get ABC, since they done that stuff on mine on 2020, maybe if we could get them to do something while they're doing his and on mine too.
Well, and that's what I do. Actually, Sierra and Carolyn sent me was telling me about it. They called and told me about it last night, and sent me the information on it. And also I have some contact information for ABC, and that's exactly another thing I was going to work on here this afternoon is I'm putting together a little packet.
Since they done it on 2020, that might help, I was thinking.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm putting together that packet to show your innocence and stuff, even more than what they had then, and see if they can do a follow-up. And so
well, any of those things
you gotta love Carolyn. She is quick to.
Oh, she don't know nothing about law and stuff like that.
I know, but it's all these interviews and all that, and it's like Nashville. She said you're gonna talk. I'm like, well, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's like the news interviews and stuff. She said, I want you doing this, and all right.
She's got a fight in her, and here's what makes her have a fight in her too, because she knows I didn't do this. It's no guessing with her. Nobody ain't just told her, well, he didn't do this. Well, she knows I didn't do this. This woman knows too. She knew to begin with. She was there with me the whole time. She knew the love that I had for Tommy, and she knows I'm the type of person. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't put a hand on a woman. It's who I am. I mean, and I'm not saying that like I'm some kind of angel or something like that. Look, a man steps on my toes real hard, I'll dust your ass off real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, don't think I won't, you know. But I mean, a woman, I've just always, my grandmother raised me from when I was 4 years old when my mother and my dad separated. And my poor granny took me in out of raising all of those kids. She took me in and raised me, and she just installed something in me. Her and my grandmother, her mother, my aunts helped raise me, and they just installed something in me that you don't raise a hand to a female. Now don't get me wrong. I have seen females before that beat on men that should have had a little hands laid on them, but I'm just not that person. I just feel like if it comes to a point that you have to raise a hand to a female, it's time to get out and leave and get away from that situation. And it's just not me. It's not who I am. And this to me was like a punch in the gut when they charged me this. I'm sitting there thinking, I spent my whole life, I've never raised a hand to a female, but here these people got me charged. They've got me charged with murdering a female. And not only that, they got me charged with murdering my best friend, somebody that, and Karen tell you, I have never had a harsh word with him. And that's hard to say, Kevin. When you get out and drink with somebody the way I did with him.
I've heard that.
And I've never had a harsh word with him.
I've heard that your brothers said the same thing. Jimmy said that over and over. He said, man, he said him and Tommy were like brothers. He said, said, you guys were.
We would get out and drink, and I'm telling you what, he was so funny. We would get out and drink. There'd be times I would laugh, Kevin, and my ribs would be sore the next day. Now, he was the same way I was, and there's no way. I always tried to protect him. I'll be honest with you, up to then, that's what I tried. I thought by being around him more, that I was protecting him. There was something in my inside. We've all got this, I think, in this instinct in us. Something just kept telling me, just watch out. I mean, it was just almost like my hair was standing up on the back of my neck all the time and saying you need to stay away from these situations and stuff. And I don't know, I wouldn't listen to that. Seemed like I just didn't see it coming. Who would ever think in a million years that something like this would actually happen, then come down on you like this, and in a million years in a situation like this?
Well, exactly.
But, I mean, you just don't see it. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. And it just,
you just don't see something like that coming.
Well, and I've told people over and over, I'm a big John Grisham fan. I don't know if you're familiar with any of his books. He's a legal writer and does a lot of research to make sure everything's accurate. And this is like a John Grisham book, but it's true. It's insane.
Yeah.
So what I want, Gary, is for everybody watches my channel, that'll see throughout all this social media stuff. And then also for Nashville, we can play it when we're in Nashville for the news conference and stuff. Give me a spiel. I don't, however long, I don't care, but something from you of why people should pay attention to your case. What reason, I guess your plea for help in your own words.
Well, I would say this. I mean, if you think that you couldn't be charged with something like this, I mean, you ought to wake up and look at my case. I mean, I'm sitting here charged with 2 murders. And like I said, for the one, I've never raised my hand to a female in my whole life. But yet, go figure how I could end up being charged. Not only being charged, but being convicted of murdering a female. Then here I've got my best friend, somebody that I was around nearly every day. The last day I seen him, went and picked him up, took him to old country restaurant up there where we eat all the time. I mean, I tried to look out for him every day. And if you think you can't get in this position, you better think again. And it don't take much. It takes it pretty much took one real dirty detective to lie, to forge, to fabricate. Then on top of that, I had to be tried with somebody else. And it was never Gary done this or Gary done that. It was always, Will Dillinger was having problems with a brother in his family. And, then they would try to throw in there, Gary was supposed to have been with him sometime around this time frame here. But, I basically sat here and got convicted because of just being around some of the wrong people around the wrong time, and some dirty officers and dirty district attorneys and judges that just went all out, to get a conviction on it. But I don't know what else I could add to that would. Other than the fact that I am innocent. I mean, I've laid here literally for 32 years of my life, and I've not had a lawyer. The only one that I felt like really seemed like I had 2 that tried to help me, and both of them, they took them off my case real quick. I had one named Tim Moore in Newport. I think he's still a lawyer today, but he worked on my appeals a little, and he seemed like he was real honest. And I had a guy, he's dead now, that started my first appeal. and they stole a lot of my transcript in Surrey County.
Yeah.
And he tried to get it. Once they seen it, he wasn't going to let go of it. They fired him and took him off my case and put my original lawyer on there because he was trying to get the transcript that they stole because he was in the courtroom. And but you know, I just don't know. People, I watch TV today, and in my own mind, I know I didn't do this, and I see cases pop up, and I think, wow. When I see somebody popped up and they say, well, they charged this person for murder, my mind automatically leads to it and says, well, they must have done it or they wouldn't have charged them for it. That's what your common sense wants to tell you, but you don't filter in the fact of what how some of these officers and these district attorneys and stuff, how they go about charging some of these people. We're all not guilty. We're all not guilty of what they've charged us with, and they've never been nothing to show that I've been anything other than a good friend to Tommy Griffin. And I didn't know Connie much. I really can't say a whole lot about her. What I did know about her, I mean, she was a nice lady, and you know, I feel sorry for her children, you know, having to grow up without a mother and stuff the way they did. But
Sure.
you know, I feel sorry for the Griffin, and I never could grieve. I remember I went in Carolyn can tell you, I went to the sheriff's department when they had Tommy at the funeral home, and I asked them if they would take me up there and let me go up there and pay my piece to him. Oh, no, said, you can't do that. Said, you done been named as a person of interest or a suspect in this case, and you can't do that. And they went straight to the media. Either I went up there and said that and said, if I was such a good friend to him, why wouldn't I even go to the funeral home to see him? They used it against me. After I went up there and tried to get them, because I didn't know if I went over to the funeral home that maybe some of the Griffin family would be over there, and I didn't know what they'd been told or whatever. If they thought I might have had something to do with this, I didn't really think they did, but I didn't know. I thought, well, let me go with the police department and find out and see. But yeah, it was just here. I was in a situation. I was mourning the passing of my best friend, and at the same time, I'm having a fight with the trying to fight charges that they're filing against me for doing it.
Well,
you know, it was just mind-boggling, to be honest with you.
And a best friend that was found dead on your birthday.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a nightmare. I've always said this. It's a nightmare that just keeps running over and over and over on a loop that I've just never been able to wake up from. You know, it's simple as that, really. You know, you find yourself in here and you don't know nothing. So I'm uneducated. I mean, I've worked hard since I've just been a young kid. And I didn't get an education. I can read and write, but not, you know, I can't spell real good, but you know, I've just worked hard all my life, you know, and I don't know nothing about the law. I can look back now and I see some of this stuff and I think, wow, you know, I didn't know then anything about the law whatsoever about how they was doing me, or if they could do me like that or they couldn't do me like that. And then I look back now and I think, wow, this is unbelievable how they actually done me, you know, and I probably should have done this or done that, but you know, hindsight's always 20/20, you know.
Absolutely.
But you know, I just over the years, I just kind of give up. I mean, I thought, what can I do? I don't have no lawyer. My lawyer, I remember the last time when I actually talked to her, you know, about, you know, when she'd filed my brief, she wouldn't even give me a copy of the brief before it was filed in court.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I don't know if Carolyn told you, I think I may have told you, but she wouldn't give me a copy of it. I kept asking her, trying to get a copy of it, and she wouldn't give me a copy of it. So I actually got power of attorney here and turned it over to my brother in order to get have him go get a copy of my brief. And he went up there and she literally said, she laughed in his face. He said, she laughed in his face and told him, I'm not giving you a copy of it. And I'm not giving Gary a copy. I'm not giving nobody a copy of it. And she knew when they filed and heard that brief in court, the very next day, she sent me a copy of it, and when I got the copy of it, I called her on the phone. I didn't cuss her nothing. The only thing I said to her, and she flew off the handle. I said, well, I realize now, Suzanne, why you didn't want to give me. I said, I got the copy that you sent me, the brief. And I realize now why you didn't want me to see this. That's because not only my personal self, and I'm uneducated and don't know that much about it, but I said, myself, I could tell, and I've had other people tell me that it looked like the district attorney filed my brief on my behalf. My God. She flew off the handle. She said, I ain't got nothing else to say to you. And if you got anything else you want to say to me, don't call me. Put it in a letter and mail it to me and slam the phone down. And that was all. That was the last time that I'd had any correspondence with her for probably 11 or 12 years.
Well, and it was horrible. It was worse than the one the state filed, and that was the brief that I was talking to you about that had had the statement that you had supposedly made to that waitress. And it's like, why would I find that nowhere else? Why the heck would she put that in her brief? I mean, that had no place in that brief.
It sounded like she was trying to make me sound like I was guilty. What it sounded like coming from her.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it was, man, that was just horrible and a huge miscarriage of justice. And there's a lot of people in the justice community who's not happy about her. And like I said, so hopefully, she's going to be.
I still don't quite understand what you were saying about now when she has to have a lawyer's license to practice law.
Right.
What was you telling me about? That she didn't pass a certain thing?
No.
Criminal cases.
No. But her specialty is bankruptcies and debt. You can practice law anywhere, and obviously she didn't stay with that. But it's funny that she's been in criminal law for years, and she's never changed it even. And she's the head public defender there, and it's like she's never even changed that designation. And the lady contacted a bar association said that it's because she knows she's not good at it.
Well, don't you think some of this stuff, Kevin, like for instance, where they picked that jury, don't you think some of this stuff here that there could be something filed on where they went in there and picked this jury? Once they got the jury picked, the district attorney didn't like it, so they wanted to redo. They sent this jury home. Not only did they send this jury home, Kevin, but they didn't pick one or two alternates too. It was obvious to everybody. And even my lawyer said, look, they're sending home because the district attorney wants to redo on it. And they look like something on that. And not only that, they took it to another level, Kevin. Ain't I got a right when I came back to court, this is what my lawyer told me when I arrived at the jail and he came over to see me. He said, well, I've got some bad news for you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, the judges went back and changed every one of your pretrial motions that he's done ruled on. He said he's changed nearly every one of them. Said he's took the jury picker. He's letting all the Sevier County trial in. And just everything. I mean, I said, wasn't I supposed to be allowed to be present when all this stuff was changed? And that ought to show that how the extent that they were going to try to get a conviction, even sending a jury. I've never heard of them doing that before.
Well, yeah, there's so many. Well, Gary, there is no doubt that we have plenty to get you back into court. It's we just had to get rid of Suzanne, and once that motion, that you'll get the next few days from Carolyn, once that's signed and filed, they'll have no choice with that motion the way to let her go. The difference in the motion that your friend helped you file a while back versus now is that motion they was able to deny. For one, there was a couple issues that wasn't quite, they're issues, but they're not issues. It depends on how they happened and they weren't explained. But anyway, it was asking for new counsel to be appointed. Well, you have no constitutional right to appellate counsel. So the only way to go, and Jeff he was just he didn't agree. And, but the only way is to get rid of Suzanne and you go pro se. He's like, that's so scary. And I'm like, it is scary, but Gary's case, somebody's going to grab that case. And I said, in fact, Carolyn's had people that were interested until they talked to Susanna. And then nothing. I said, she's shutting
Well, she's
people down.
basically not going to do nothing.
Well,
Susanna's
she's not
going to do nothing for me no way.
She's not helped you a bit, so you're better off
She's not going to.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So there's no point in her. All she's going to do is create more harm and stop justice from going through. So, but anyway, and I'm working on now that other writ, and that'll be short to follow.
Yeah.
And that's what is going to get you a new trial. So, you know, and then you'll be, like I said, once you get a new trial, there's no doubt that there's no way they're going to convict you again. I just don't. There's no way.
I don't even see how they could take me to trial, to be honest with you, if you could get a new trial. I mean, because
that's what I said.
What are they going to say I've done?
Well, and that's what I'm saying, Gary. If I look for them to just completely exonerate you or completely overturn the case without a trial, because to take this to trial with all this corruption and all the evidence we have now to prove all this stuff, that's like cold hard scientific evidence that's been uncovered. They're not going to want this they're not going to want this dragged out through the public eye, because it's going to look bad.
Did you ever see the shell casings, Kevin?
I did.
Did you ever see them shell casings where he planted down?
Yeah, the bright neon Winchester green shells. Yes, I did.
Well, see, Susanna, I knew she understood me. I'm thinking, is this woman really this? Can't she comprehend what I'm trying to tell her here, or what this means, or she's doing this because she's just playing like she don't comprehend what I'm explaining. I said, Susanna, I said, look, I said, there's pictures that was blown up that were about 2 foot wide and 3 foot tall. The one picture showing when they took a picture when the body was in the scene, you could see an ambulance in the back of the scene, you could see officers in the back of the scene. Now the picture I'm talking about is almost identical, same spot. I said, now let me run through this again in case you ain't comprehending what I'm saying. I said, now you see the ambulance, you can see the ambulance in the background and the police when the body's there. Now these 2 shotgun shells is not laying here in these gravel where they are in the second one. He goes back out and does a secondary search a couple of days later, and abracadabra, these 2 shotgun shells laying here in the same spot they took the other picture. What was they at when the ambulance was there and the detectives was there? And how did they get in there when he went out on a secondary search a couple of days later? How did he end up there then? Well, she said, I think they found them when they went out there the first time. I said, Susanna, they didn't. They argued this in court. I said, when he went back on the secondary search, here's what he never thought would happen, Kevin. He never thought anybody would ever pick up on the fact or ever even look at the pictures that was the original pictures that was took where there were no shell casing in it. I don't believe he ever thought this detective, he was doing all that line and forging fabricate. I don't think he ever realized that anybody would ever catch the fact that there was no shell casings there when the body was there. But here a couple of days later, when he goes back after that, shows that he set the shit that he planted the shell cases there. I can prove. He's the one that took the pictures too. He can't say it was somebody else that took them. They're the one that the officers was that took the pictures. The state.
Well, I can prove that those shells were planted. That's another thing that I've proven. I don't know if Carolyn shared with you, but
she was telling me something about you were talking about how they were laying exactly side by side. And you know that ain't gonna happen. I mean, you know enough about you know enough about guns, and when they eject the shell out, it's not gonna fall exactly right dead side by side like that. That'd be 1 in a million change that ever happened.
I've showed that picture to a lot of people. Said this come out of a shotgun. It was only shot 2 shots, pump shotgun. This is how the shells were found. And so what's wrong with that picture? And they're like, well, those were put there. It's the first thing everybody said, because they said those shells don't land like that.
Well, see, the picture, I tried to get her to file something on that back when she first took my case in appeals court. I said, Susanna, it shows that he planted the shell cases. What else do you need when you've got picture evidence? This ain't pictures that we've took or somebody else's took. This is pictures that they took. They were not there when the ambulance and the officers and stuff was there at the scene. But a couple days later, when he goes out and does a secondary search, here's what he done, Kevin. Here's exactly what he done. He went over one once they found the body, here's what they done. They went over and he went to the judge. He lied to the judge to get the search warrant to search James's property. And once he searched James's property, I don't know what you read in there and here. Now he found a whole bag of shell casings. They had a whole big bag of shell casings. And what happened was, my guess is what happened. He went in there and he found 4 shells that was the same, probably the same brand, same color and everything. And he probably took 2 over and laid them down where the murder scene was and took a picture of them. And he turned them 2 in and 2 that he found at James's house. And they didn't even match. According to the forensic guys, they didn't match. But he never once, I believe, thought that anybody would catch the fact that those shell casings wasn't there when the body was there. That's the reason they blow those pictures up after they get them. Then he said, look, this is proof right here to show, he said, that the shell casings was not there when the body was there, he said.
Yeah, well, and
that right there would be enough to get you a new trial in a fire court. That one thing right there should be not. Don't wait all the jury tampering and all other stuff. That one thing,
Jerry. The one thing, our one smoking gun, is that autopsy report.
Yeah.
Because there is no that kills everything from, and there is no, that's scientific evidence. That is not
that guy's jury was, what was it he said in there, Kevin? Didn't he say, like, that Tommy, he couldn't have been killed no later than Sunday or something? They're trying to say the guy Harlan saying Friday, it happened on a Friday.
Right, which is scientifically impossible. Rigor mortis begins within moments to an hour or so of death, and it lasts 36 hours, no more.
Yeah.
Maybe 37 or 38. But not. Yeah. It's not going to last a couple days. And so, and also the original investigators said that the blood was tacky and the gunshot residue looked fresh.
They said the blood looked fresh. They said.
Right,
I remember talking about that, how fresh it looked.
Right, and that's not going to happen even a couple days later, because if you cut yourself, even working at doing something, and you cut yourself a nice cut, it's the blood's a running, and especially as guys, a lot of times we'll just push through and keep working on what we're working on and deal with it later. It stops bleeding and it dries and all that, and it's not gonna, and that in a matter of hours. There's no way in days that it's still going to be. But and like I said, the Harlan's testimony, I've just trashed his testimony. His testimony is done, and I have the scientific evidence to prove the whole case is done, because in an autopsy, they have 3 purposes of an autopsy. It's to find the time and date of death and the cause of death. The time said uncertain. They don't know what time Tommy was killed, but the date of death said the 24th, which is Monday, the day the body was found, which falls in line with every other single piece of evidence. And so it's like my saying for your case is, if the dates don't equate, you must exonerate.
Right now the main thing that needs to happen is get something back in court, because if we don't, I imagine it's not going to be too much longer. They go back to setting dates. They're going to have to be something back in court, That's why I keep telling Carolyn, I say, going to have to be something back in court,
We got you. You got a motion on the way. So, step 1.
Just whatever you need me to sign on that, or whatever you need me to do, just let me know on it, and she can let her know exactly what to do on it, or I'll take care of my end or whatever I need to do on it.
Yeah, that's already been taken care of, and Carolyn will be getting with you on that, because I've got her sent everything. She just got to print them off and send you copies, and you'll keep one copy of it, and you'll sign the others and mail the other 2 copies off. So.
Well, she's like I said, she don't know nothing about legal work or nothing, but what makes a big difference, and I'll be honest with you, all my family knows I didn't do this. They fought. I'm telling you what, back in the day, Kevin, now a lot of them has got kind of tired of fighting, because they fought for years and years. I'm talking about spend money, and they just got to the point. I finally told them, look, quit spending money.
Yeah.
Because you're taking your hard-earned money. Nobody seems to be trying to do anything for me. And every road that they took, they just kept running into dead-end block walls. And after a while, I just started telling them, look, just, get on with your life and just, what it was, it didn't have no lawyers that would help me. I didn't have no lawyers that stand up and file anything or do anything. And I remember Susanna told me in the beginning, when we started laying out all this stuff, look, Susanna, they forged this, they fabricated this, they lied to get the search warrant, they lied to get the arrest warrant. This admitted right here that they forged this statement. TBI agent admitted that he forged a statement, and really they caught him in a lie about the whole thing, about saying I was around my uncle the whole time. But that was a big thing that got me convicted. This TBI agent said, yeah, he called me to the jailhouse, and I done filed a thing that nobody was to question me. That ought to be another thing right there that they used in court, that should be one issue that could get your case overturned. That these people, once you file a file, I don't know what it is you call it, but they are not to have any law enforcement talk to you without your lawyer's present. That's plainly what it says.
Right. Yeah.
But still, they run in there. And I remember the judge asked him at one point. He said, "Well, let me ask you something." He said, "Mr. Davenport," he said, "Why would you not? Why would you not? If it's like you said," he said, and I don't believe it is, but if it's like you said, and Mr. Sutton had called you to jail to talk to you, and he said, this is a big double murder case, why wouldn't you at least take a little tape recorder?" He said, "No, they show you, or take a movie projector or a camera to take a video of it. Why wouldn't you at least take a little old tape recorder?" He said, "Well, I just don't do that very much." He's hold up. That he laid off. He give all the numbers with his TBI, where he always took a tape recorder and a video camera to videotape these statements and stuff and laid them out to him. He told him he was a liar.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, if Mr. Sutton give you all this, why didn't he sign it?" Well, he was mad at the end and he didn't want to sign it. Then when he finally got down to where, I don't know, you probably read it, where he finally admitted that he forged, I think his name was Mark Turner, the detective's name. He admitted that he forged his name to it.
Well, yeah, because the jail records showed that you'd only been out of your cell less than 5 minutes, so it was impossible.
I had to come all the way from the back.
Yeah.
They brought me from the back of that jail through. I probably had to go through about 5 different doors. And I don't have me to big long hallways, and walking at that with lag change and stuff on.
Yeah, and they got to unlock, and every one of them doors, you don't just walk through. You got to stop, wait for them to be unlocked, and it's.
Oh yeah.
For those who haven't been through the jail process, it's not as easy as walking through your house through doorways. It's a long distance, and you stop at every door, wait for security. Another person outside of the people escorting you to open these doors and let you through, and it's a lengthy process.
Oh yeah, and here's another thing, Kevin. They were literally taking people out of that jail. I mean, they took one right out of another out of that jail. And we're pretty much just telling them, look, I mean, they just tell them, all we want you to do, we will cut your time off.
Yeah.
If you will just tell us that Gary or James told you that they done this. And I remember one come through the door one day, and he lived down below me. And he was hollering and screaming, and they're trying to make him shut up. And he's hollering and screaming, "Gary," he said, "man, they took me out there, and they told me if I'd get up and say that you told me, since I lived over beside of you and knowed you, if I'd get up and say that you told me you done this and stuff, if they'd just dropped this other about," I think he said he had 8 months left or something. He said, "I told him, there ain't no way I'm saying nothing that I'm lying against him." He said, because he said, "I know him," and he said, "I don't think for a minute he done this." And he said, "I'm not going to get up and say that." But he said, literally tried to get me to say that. They took people out of that whole jail and just bagged them. I mean, pretty much bagged them. I had the sergeant come there, and that's another thing. I told Carolyn, I said, y'all to try to go talk to her. Her name's Sandy. I don't keep remember her last name. She was a sergeant there at the jail. She was a good friend of my mother. She went to church with my mother. And I remember one day she had me called out front, and they brought me out there, and she said, "Gary," she said, "I just want to talk to you." She said, "Please don't talk to anybody about your case." She said, "They're trying to get everybody." He said that they've done took out. She told me 100, and she gave me a number, was 100 and something people out of that jail. And I said, "Well, they ain't but about 22 of us back on maximum security." She said, "Gary, they're taking people out of the whole jail and just bagging them, trying to get them to say anything about y'all that they can use." And they finally found somebody. I think his name was Jimmy Alexander. They had him charged with murder. And this man gave him a statement. I know my lawyer showed up one day, David Webb. God, he was so sorry. It was unreal. He's probably sorrier than Susanna was. He really wasn't a trial attorney. Yeah. But anyway, he shows up one day and he said, Gary, well, I told you about talking to people. What are you talking to people for? And I said, I'm not talking to nobody about my case. Well, he said, we got a guy here's got a statement. Said you told him you done it and you're sitting laughing about doing it. And I said, David, that ain't nothing but a lie. There's not been this. I said, I've never even spoke to this guy. I said, if you'll do your job, all you got to do is they got cameras in here. This is a new jail. The whole thing's lit up with cameras on every corner. All you got to do is tell them, we'll show us some video evidence of them ever been around them. I said, that man don't even come out of his cell. I said, he won't even come out and take a shower. I said, he won't even come out of his cell and take a shower. He was his name was Jimmy Alexander, I think. He was now memories an albino guy. His hair was solid white. And here's what stopped them doing. He said, well, they're going to use him against you. He said, they've got this big long statement that he said you told him this and told him all how you done this and how you done that. I said, well, it's all a lie. You just need to get him to pull the cameras up because I've never spoke to him. He's never been around my door. I've never been around his door. I said, it's just never happened. Yeah. I was telling him to pull the cameras up and get a date when I was supposed to have done this and pull the cameras up and you'll see that. But what happened was, he finally went out there and told his investigator. He said, she asked him straight out. She said, the Gary tell you all of this. And he admitted to her that he had never even spoke to me before, that he'd never talked to me or never spoke to me. And she said, you mean you just told all this? This is all just a lie that you made up? And he said, yeah. So they told me that they would have me on my murder case if I would say this against Gary. So she went to the district attorney and told the district attorney, she said, I may lose my job. She said, but if you try to use this statement, he said and told me that he'd never spoke to Sutton or anything before. She said, I may lose my job. She said, but if you try to use this statement, I will get up on the witness stand and testify on Sutton's behalf. So they dropped it at that point. They knew that she was serious. She said, I'm not going to allow that to happen, is what she told him. She said, I'm not going to allow that to happen. She said, because he's never even spoke to that man before. And they drove out there. Both of them did. Him and Flynn did. They said from Blunt County, drove all the way out there in some part of Kansas, I think, out there in some part of out there where they had Bobby Floyd trying to get him to say that he knew something about this case.
Man.
But they went to every extreme that they could, to try to get anything if they could.
Oh, yeah. The evidence of corruption and planted evidence, manufactured evidence, corroborated stories, and coach stories and everything is just insurmountable in this case. And it's insane that in all this time that nothing has been done.
Think about this, Kevin. Think about this right here for a second. Now, a lawyer named Jerry Gallion come and told me before I went to trial, he said, Gary, please listen to me. He said, hire you a personal photographer to take your trial transcript down. He said, they're going to steal your transcript. They're going to go in there. They're going to do everything under the sun to convict you. And he said, I don't know why in the world you hired David Webb. He said, David Webb is not a trial attorney, Gary. He said, him and the judge is best friends. He said, the man, he said, don't know nothing really about criminal law. He said, he's done set you out. He said, do you get that? But he said, hire you a personal private photographer. He said, because they're going to steal your transcript. And I said, how did they do that? And I said, I thought they taped that. I said, how do they get by with this? I'm telling you, Gary. And this is something that's broadly done, evidently. But for him knowing this, being an attorney, this is something that they're broadly done. And this same judge, think about this, Kevin, this same judge that done that to me is still a sitting judge up there right now doing this same thing. And I've been here for 32 years, and I know that man was a judge at least, I don't even know, probably 10, 12 years or longer before I got locked up. He was a judge for a pretty good while before I got locked up, and I've been here 32 years. He's still sitting on the bench. Can you imagine how much probably dirtier he's got now? Oh, yeah. Being in there all these years, that's usually how it works. They normally get a little bit dirtier and dirtier as they go along,
Well, and they gain more and more influence. And
oh, yeah, that's how they get so corrupt. They build all these relationships with all these people around them. And his wife is an appeals court judge, so there you go. Why you would never get a ruling in the Knoxville Court of Criminal Appeals against him because his wife being an appeals court judge. I mean, The whole thing right there, to me, seems like a conflict of interest when your wife's an appeals court judge.
Well, that's common, throughout everywhere, but they just can't they just can't both be on the same case.
Yeah. Well, that's what they told me. So, well, said she'll have to. She'll not be. She'll have to get off your. She won't be the one to get on your case when it goes to the appeals court. I said, that's being said. Do you really think these other appeals court judges that she's probably not friends with them? You wouldn't think it. That they're not going to go against her husband. I wouldn't think they would. I mean, if you're sitting there, I don't know how many's on the appeals of Court of Appeals in Knoxville there. But what is it, 3 or 6 or something? I'm not sure how many of y'all are, but I mean, I imagine they're all probably got a friendship going on. And I imagine you wouldn't be really trying to rule against one of them's husband. There it's your friend. I mean, just seemed like to me it's a big conflict of interest.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I know this. I sure appreciate everything that y'all are doing, Kevin. I just. Because I just been. I mean, I feel helpless. I mean, and you are helpless when you don't know nothing about the law, and you're uneducated. What can you do? I mean, I don't know how to do anything to help myself.
Yeah, and and that's what we're here for. We're trying to help make a difference, and we're gonna hopefully get you out of there, get you free, and get justice. This is long overdue, way overdue, Gary.
Well, I'm going to get on, Karen, because I thought, I forgot to even ask her, and she sent you your clock.
No,
I got to get on her because all I went through on that clock, you wouldn't believe. I was so hot. When I come back, they'd come in and they just done one of these big shakedowns. The new guy come in, and when I walked back up, I started back up the stairs, and I looked, and I thought, oh my God, she looked laying over here in the middle of the floor, and it's laying on its side over there. They scratched it up, and I'm thinking, I've been sitting here sanding and painting and buffing, and it's something to represent your state and stuff up there. You'll see it when you get it, but she's probably not had time to go get one of them clock inserts to put in it.
Well, and she may, like I said, she may be. I'm going to be up there here in a few weeks, and she may just plan on giving it to me.
She may be what it's going to do. She may be just going to give it to you when you come up. She may have done got it because I know she was going to go to a place called Hobby Lobby. I think she said it was, and see if she could find one there to go in it.
Yeah, that.
Anyway, I guess I need to get off here. Is there anything else I need from me, Kevin?
No. Hey,
try to call you a little sooner. Instead of waiting this long. It's been so hectic around you. I got to call Kevin. I got to call Jeff too, and I've not talked to him. I may try to call him either. I'll probably try to call him Friday because tomorrow is not a good day. I may try to call him Friday. But and talk to him. I've not talked to him neither in a while.
Yeah, it would be. He's really busy right now. He's working a case on Anthony Sanchez in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's what Karen was telling me something about. He'd been working a case out there at Sanchez. Well, ain't his execution date tomorrow? Have they said anything about it?
No, it's in fact about 24 hours and 45 minutes from now. No.
Yeah.
Well, and I told Carolyn, I said, not trying to be full of myself, but they should have hired me for the legal stuff because the same way I'm getting you back into court, I could have got Anthony back into court, but it's kind of too late for him now. And,
what's so crazy about the death penalty when you think about it? I mean, here we just had a guy that went to court here for killing 8 of his family members, give him a life sentence. I mean, if they've never been a death penalty case, it's how they set it out here. I mean, how do you go out here? You got a guy that just went to court that they had, he admitted to it and got the evidence, everything to kill 8 of his family members. And he gets a life sentence, but here I'm laying here for a murder I didn't commit and laying on death row.
Part of that is the government of any level, whether it's a state, a city, federal court system or whatever, they're really bad about they take it personal. When you go to jury trial and you fight because you're innocent, they want to just throw the book at you. And for standing up for your rights, for exercising your constitutionally protected rights, you know. So
Yeah.
it's not fair. Real quick, give me a little snippet. That change.org, we have that petition. Give me a little snippet asking people to go to the change.org and sign the petition for you because you're innocent or whatever, however you want to frame it. Go.
You mean there's some? You mean on the signing the petition you talking about?
Yeah, the one Heather started up.
Well, you know, I would just like to say that anybody, you know, that will sign a petition. I mean, it will be so appreciative to. Do you know if you would sign it and try to get me back, get us back in court, and let me have my fair day of trial in court. Let me have a fair trial and to prove that I've done something wrong. I mean, let me have my day in court while I'm not sitting there and I'm being tried with somebody else, and every now and then they throw in and say, well, he was supposed to be with him sometime around this time frame. Let me have my day in court and prove that I've committed any kind of crime. I've not committed any kind of crime. The only crime I've committed is being around some friends and family that I was around about every day. I mean, I've not committed any kind of crime. So give me my day in court, and by signing a petition may get me back in court. You know, and I mean, it would be just well appreciated if you would do that for me.
Awesome. I like it. And Gary, I wanted to pass on to you have a lot of support out here. I'm sure Carolyn's told you. She's kind of become involved in our little group and as some others, and everybody that I told that was going to be talking to you today said to send their wishes. They're praying for you. They're trying to help. So we got a bunch of people that it's on your side, you know. We're gonna.
Well, I sure appreciate all of it. You know, I sure appreciate everybody that. I was hoping I could get some things. I've got a few things I'm working on, maybe to get out there that y'all could maybe fix some where maybe if people signed a certain amount of people, you know, to give them some stuff. I've got a few things I'm working on, but they're killing me with time. I can't get no time over there. That's what's killing me right now. They're not giving me enough time to actually do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes
I was getting enough time over there. We ain't got no tools. Everything I do, I'm just having to do with. The only thing I've got a little small coping saw and an X-Acto blade. That's it. That's all I've got to work with.
Yeah, they don't give you much, that's for sure.
I've got an old Harley Davidson motorcycle right now. Don't tell Caroline somewhere. Now I'm building her one. She's been on me for a while. She's been wanting. I built Devin a Pittsburgh Steelers one, and I built him another one on. Built a Harley Davidson, made a clock out of it and stuff. And she's been wanting one he painted purple. So I'm trying to get her one together because she's got a birthday coming up in November. So. You know, I've got her one of those going, a Harley Davidson motor. I built some of it actually look like you could just get up on it and start it up and ride off, but you got to take a little more time on those, you know.
Yeah.
But I love doing those stuff. Do you ever ride bikes?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you?
Yeah.
I get enough time. I may try to build you one. I love building them. I just got through building an old car, an old 32 Ford Roadster.
Oh man,
I seen it to Devil with a big old blown motor and stuff on it, but I've been trying to do small stuff because I've not got much wood left, and I'm not sure if they're even going to let us order any. So I'm kind of in that thing. I've been trying to do smaller stuff, you know, and, to keep from running out of wood. But I'm definitely going to be some more stuff, and I'm going to get on her to get you that clock. Hope she made it. Maybe what she's going to do is give it to you and you come down. But
yeah.
But
well, I sure appreciate it, man. That's an honor, man. I've seen your work, and I can't wait to bless my desk. I tell
you what I enjoy building too is the gun cabinets. I think she sent you a picture of the gun cabinet I done it for Devin with all the guns. I put a picture of some deer that I killed in there. I'm a big deer hunter. I love the deer hunt. And this is the time of year. That's really what I've been feeling here lately. I've been telling guy I work with over here. I said, look, man, I said, I've been feeling like carving some guns out and making a gun cabinet, because this is you'll coming up the time deer season, it's fixing to open up and stuff, And do you deer hunt any?
I don't. I'm a fair weather guy. I'm not big on cold, and you got to go sit out there and wait on them damn things. I tried. I went. I got the funniest story I've got was hunting for deer. We decided we were going to try bow hunting, compound bow. Me and my Uncle Eddie. We're sitting up there in the deer stand. This damn deer ain't 50 feet from me. I miss. The arrow goes right underneath him, and he still sits there eating. I get another arrow pulled back and loaded, and that son of a gun is still sitting there. We lock eyes right before I went to release that second arrow. I nicked him in the ass as he was taking off. Never did find that arrow, find that deer. I was so mad. I threw that cotton. I ain't hunting with a bow since.
But that sounds like I was in a place once down below Atlanta. I think it's called Conyers, Georgia. I was down there deer hunting. I went by myself that morning. My brother-in-law, him and his wife had done separating. He got out drinking and stuff, so he didn't go with me. But anyway, I got down there in Conyers, and I went out there, and it was right in the middle of the rut. And it was kind of funny. This is kind of a funny story. I went out there, and it was just a place I'd hunted up some of it, not in this area here, but I got to walking up there, and I seen this old tree stand that somebody had up, and I got up and got in this old tree stand, made sure it's safe enough to sit in. I sat down in it, and I hadn't been sitting in it for a little while. And here this beautiful 8-point buck comes and chasing this doe, and he's got his tongue, the doe's got her tongue lolled out, and he's done run her to death. His big old neck swelled up. It's right in the middle of the rut, And he's running this doe, and it's round and round and round and round. I mean, and they're not even slowing down. And I'm trying to get a shot off on this buck. And I'm talking about they're literally running round and round and dodging and darting. And I shoot. The first time I shot, and I missed. And I'm talking about this buck don't raise a head up. He don't do nothing. All he's concentrating on is this doe. And this poor doe, that she's looking up. She's trying to look out, her tongue all out beside her, see where this shot coming from. And she went around and around. And I finally, the second time I shot, I hit the buck and knocked him down and killed him. But she just stood there. And I mean, just stood there and looked. And she stood there and rested for a long time. Even watched me climb down out of the stand and stuff. It's almost like, well, thank you, God, that you got him off my ass,
Yeah.
But he didn't even pay no attention when I shot and missed, I mean, that's when you kill the big ones, when they get in a rut like that, because they get to chasing those does, and they lose all track of using any kind of sense, of where they're at or what they're running into,
Yeah.
But I love the deer hunt. So I used to go. I've done most of it in Georgia. That's where my wife was from, is Georgia. And I've done most of it down there, and done a lot of it in Tennessee too. We used to go to Alabama, and I went around there before. I've been to Ohio and hunting some down to Florida. But like I said, I've done most of it in Georgia. But it was just something I really enjoyed, getting out, done that, and rabbit hunting and squirrel hunting.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is time of year. I've been kind of, like I said, getting there and collar some guns. But I enjoy doing that little miniature gun. Have you ever used one of them little Dremels, one of them little wood Dremels?
Oh, yeah.
I use them. Oh, God, they're amazing on stuff like them bikes. I can take and build one of them Harley-Davidson bikes and carve pieces out and make them look just like the original piece that goes on them.
They're amazing working on vehicles, too, and a lot of times getting in them little areas and stuff. I use them a lot around the house, working on houses, construction stuff, and on vehicles.
Oh yeah.
So, but, Will, Gary, and it's been awesome to talk to you, and I guess like I said, you're getting quite a social media following out here.
Well,
you got a lot of.
I don't know much about that part of it. Carolyn tries to explain it to me, and that's something else. I would be lost on that side of stuff, because they didn't even have it. They just come out with the first computer right before I got locked up, and that thing was huge. I mean, it was one of those things that was big as big as a refrigerator.
And you know how you can. Have you had one of the visits where it's on video, or court where it's on video? How you talk to someone on a video cross?
No, I've never been in a situation.
I guess it's
kind of.
I guess it's kind of even when it's just one person talking or video. The lives, it's like an interactive news. You can interact and stuff, and also in the videos, you can just search anytime and pull up and all that. I've got about 70 something videos, I think, that's just in Gary Sutton in your folder. And those videos come up all the time. They show up in people's suggested stuff. And so we're gaining ground. But anyway,
there just needs to be something done with the death penalty in general. People looking at it, know, when they can put you in here for something like this on the death penalty.
And it's not even just the death penalty, but the death penalty needs to go away completely. It's our whole justice system. It's supposed to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. People forget that beyond a reasonable doubt part. And in your case,
it's not a deterrent if you think about it. They know that the court. I mean, the evidence showed it's not a deterrent to keep anybody else from somebody that goes kill somebody. They're not thinking about, well, am I going to get a life sentence or get the death penalty? I mean, they're not thinking about that. That ain't no deterrent.
Not only that, most cases of murder cases, 95% of murder cases are crimes of passion. They're not thought out and all that. So you're not gonna in a time of crime of passion, you're not thinking anything logical. So you're not gonna I can get the death penalty for this. You're not thinking nothing about that. And
obviously, if you're in a situation doing that, I don't think that you're not thinking about what the what's going to happen to you behind it. I don't think when you're doing it, not from my knowledge looking at it. And I know you got a lot of knowledge too of being in here and you're dealing with a lot of these situations like this and stuff. I mean, a lot of people. I still think a lot of people today still believes, but most people knows. Look, we got a lot of good police officers out there trying to do the right thing and going by the book. But I don't think a lot of people realize this. Here's why I think a lot of people get lost at. They look at a case like mine, and I think a lot of people look at it and says, well, why would this James Winder go to the extent that he did with forging and fabricating and making evidence and going in front of the grand jury to get arrest warrant and in front of the judge to get the search warrants and making up these statements and forging names stuff? Why would he do that? He wouldn't do that. Why would he do that against somebody that he don't even know? This is somebody that he don't even know. Why would he do that?
Because he's covering up for someone he does know.
Well, here's what I often tell people: look, he's got a job to do. Now, the district attorney's going to go out and find this, find that, find me some evidence. He's got a job to do, and if he don't do his job, trust me, they're going to find somebody that will do it. If he don't do it, so he does it anyway. If they'll let him get by with it, they'll let him. He'll do whatever he wants to do.
Well, and you and your uncle were easy suspects because that was the easy road out. Oh, he's with Tommy all the time. So, okay, we're going to have to prove that we're going to build something on that. And that's what they did. And,
well, they use that old thing. Well, he's supposed to be the last one that's seen around. And it wasn't like that this is just a day, that you're around this person, I mean, there's around, I was around Tommy nearly every day. Here's the thing, Kevin. I used to get up, and Curtis can tell you, I used to get up and listen. I was late for work. I would either do one of the two. Usually, what I would do, I'd go buy Hardee's, and I would get some sausage and steak biscuits and some biscuits and gravy and stuff. And I would go by his house and just drop him some off because if I didn't feed him, he would sit over and drink and stuff. Where he lost his leg and his lower leg and that wreck and stuff. He got to where he got a little check every month and he just drank all the time. And I would stop over and feed him of a morning before I went to work and stuff. And he'd stay with us a lot too.
Well,
but,
and that's
I just felt like his big brother, kind of. I've been trying to look out for him and take up for him and look out for him.
Well, that's what I was told. I was even told that he had a room in your trailer, and you didn't let people stay in your trailer.
I didn't let people stay. I even bought him a water bed, which he kept kidding all the time because we had one. I wish I had me one, and I went and bought one. It wasn't a new one; it was a used one.
Right.
And put it in our spare bedroom, just so he could have one, But it was just one of those things, like I said, anybody that knew us knew that you'd never see either him raise a hand to me or me raise a hand to him. But people that don't know that though. I mean, they're just looking at what the state's telling them, and I mean that's really all they got to go by. Well, look here, what the state said. The state said this, and the state said that. And, well, yeah, I mean they've said a lot of things. If you read what the state's got rolled out, it makes you sound like you're pretty guilty. You know what I mean?
The problem is a lot of people don't stand up and they don't say anything. They don't want to get involved because it don't affect them. But until it affects them, they really don't understand that the injustice can happen. And then they want people to stand up for them, but we need more people in our nation to stand up against these injustices and call these courts on their misacts, and they're not following, in fact, blatantly just disregarding our Constitution, and start getting justice back into our justice system. It's
and they wouldn't even let me, when I testified in this first case, in the Surrey County case, they wouldn't even let me tell about the relationship with me and Tommy. I mean, we got up there and they was talking about Tommy. They was talking about Tommy Incon. They would not let me, and my lawyer, I didn't know enough about it. I couldn't understand it. I mean, when they got me up there, I testified in the first one in Surrey County, and I went trying to, because, well, you this and Tom and that and stuff like that, and I went trying to explain the relationship with it. Oh, no, the judge, no, you can't say nothing else. Stop. You can't say nothing. I said, I'm just wanting to try to explain, the relation. They would not let. They did not want me telling this jury anything about the relationship that meant the friendship that we had and stuff with him and his sister and stuff. They didn't want to hear none of that. They didn't want me to tell this to nobody. Even my own lawyer didn't. I believe he could have got it to where I could have.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's
they didn't want me that going to the jury.
Yeah, he could have asked that question. Well, how was your relationship with Tom? What was your relationship like with the victim? Whatever, and had to elaborate. But that's crazy. But, well, Gary, it's been great talking to you. I need to get off. I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, let me get off here too. But thanks for everything, Kevin. And
Hey,
if you talk to Jail, tell him I'll call him as soon as I can. If I can, I'll try to call him Friday.
Okay.
So I know tomorrow he's gonna be busy with all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Tell him if I can, I'll try to call him Friday. If I don't, I'll call him the first of the week.
All right. Yeah. But, today and tomorrow he's probably going to be in the prison a lot anyway, and but I'll send him a message and let him know that your thoughts are with him and stuff too.
Yeah, just let him know that I've been going through all kind of crazy stuff here, and normally, I'll tell you, my head's just been like it's been spinning in circles going through all this. I don't deal with a lot of stuff, that stuff real good. It's just, I don't know, it's just been a lot of crazy stuff. But anyway, let me get off here, Kevin.
All
and
right,
thank you for everything. And I'm going to get Curtin to get your thing fixed up for you. And I'm going to make you something else too. But I sure do appreciate everything that you've been doing and stuff.
I'm honored, Gary. I'm glad I can help. And I can't wait until we can help even more and be able to sit down on the outside and have a cup of coffee and shake your hand and,
Well, that sure sounds good to me. I could even get you out doing a little deer hunting, get you one of the big old coats to wear.
There you go.
There you go.
I'll tell you what, Gary.
Kevin, let me get off here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Then. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye now. Have a good one. Man, you guys, once again, you hear Gary. You hear how he talks about his attorney, how he talks about his friend, about the case. Does that sound like a man who's guilty? Does that sound like a double murder to you? I mean, if it remotely, you can think of an answer to the remotely even justify and say yes. Go look at the evidence. He didn't kill anybody. Gary Wayne Sutton is innocent. Completely and wholly, 100% innocent. He is not guilty of killing his best friend or his best friend's sister in any way, shape, or form. You heard it from his own mouth. You heard his words as we had this conversation with Gary from death row in Tennessee. He told you he's innocent. We laid out the evidence. We laid out the details. If you want more, go to the Gary Wayne Sutton playlist on the channel and check out all the videos. All this evidence is shown in black and white. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe this broadcast, comment, please help the ministries. If you can donate in any way, shape, or form, even if it's $1, it all helps. Please do so. Thank you very much. And God bless. I'm the Rev Dr. Kev, and I'm out. Go sign the petition. Let's free Gary Wayne Sutton. And wait as soon as I can end this. What the heck?